So it's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by my good friend Sam Jones. Sam, it's been too long. What's going on? Do you not like me anymore?
No, you don't really message me anymore. You don't really message me anymore.
I asked you to be on our live show a little while ago, and you didn't reply until after it had finished. So I just thought, he's obviously busy.
To be fair, I genuinely missed that message, and I did message you as soon as I said, "Oh, sorry, I missed this message."
It was about a week later, but yeah, I believe you.
My bad.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all water under the bridge. I didn't mean to make it awkward to start off, but your fight has got a big fight coming up. It must be nice to be back in that situation. Jack Catterall going up against Jorge Linares. What do you make of the fight? There has been some criticism. I think it's fair to say Linares' name probably exceeds his ability at this point in his career, but still a good win if Jack can pick it up.
Yeah, one thing I will say about that, Danny, and I got laughed at when I told you that this event would outsell the Buatsi Aziz event. And as you look at the ticket sales, it's proving just the case.
I would have laughed at that, just to say. But
yeah, well, I'm just letting you know it's blowing it out the park. And I told everyone this would happen because people don't understand the game, and that's just Buatsi and Aziz will sell out. Like I told everybody, it won't sell. It's not that it's not a tremendous fight. It's nothing to do with that. But Linares' name, with Jack, still holds a lot of value. And if you look at Linares' last few fights, yeah, he's lost a couple, but he's still sharp. Linares is still sharp. Okay, he's not going to be what he once was, but he's still sharp. He's still dangerous, and he's still Jorge Linares, and he's got a lot to prove in this fight if he wants to keep his career alive. So he's going to come in dangerous. And I know people will say that's me just reeling off spiel to get people interested because the event's already selling well. I don't need to really to sell it. It's a great fight. It's a great fight for Jack. It's the right fight for Jack as well. It's the right fight for Jack as well. I mean, we've got huge fights on the horizon, but none of it matters unless you get through Jorge Linares on the 21st of October. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant crowd at the Echo Arena. And Liverpool is usually a hard sell. Anyone in Liverpool will tell you it's usually a hard sell in Liverpool boxing shows itself. So for this amount of numbers and these ticket sales to do, it's doing really, really well. I cannot wait to be a part of it, Danny. A small part of it. It's the most excited I've ever been, if I'm honest, for a fight night.
And you really previously wanted Jack to get that Regis Prograis fight.
Yeah.
How frustrating is it that it seemed to go on the back burner when Prograis was looking at Devin Haney, but it looks like even that might not happen now?
No, listen, Danny, I've been in boxing long enough to know that sometimes things don't really happen the way you want it to happen. DAZN wanted two Americans. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to build their American stable. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you've just got to take it on the chin. That's what we've done. We didn't cry and complain about it. We just got on with it. Now, I'll say it a million times, Danny, right? In Jack's career, through no fault of his own, he's been really inactive. Especially the last 3 years, he's been so inactive. Jack's now an active professional boxer. So he's ecstatic. Do you know what I mean? He's boxed in May, he's boxing in October, and he'll box again. Well, touch wood, he gets through Linares, he'll box again in February. This is what Jack's career needs right now. So I really hope, going back to that fight, the Regis Prograis fight, Haney fight, from what I'm told, is now done. It's a done deal. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. I really hope Regis Prograis wins a fight. Really like Regis, so I hope he wins that fight. And him against Jack down the line is a fantastic fight. But there's loads of great fights for Jack now in that division, Danny. But has to get through Linares first, which is not going to be an easy task.
With Jack not being the most high-profile fighter necessarily, and also not a huge talker outside of the ring, how important is it that he's not just headlining a show, but against a recognisable name in Linares?
Listen, Danny, boxing's a business, man. And with Jack saying he's not people say that, Jack's not really a big... Look at the ticket sales, mate. Jack's... There's not many boxing shows. I know people go, it's six... I think they're on 6,500, 6,800. Then towards this show, there's going to be a few thousand more. In boxing, British boxing, you know yourself, Danny, if you go and watch shows, they're very rarely full. They're very rarely full. Like, really, like, you get some shows, they're like, well, like, Buatsi against Aziz, I don't know, well, they might let's say comp a few tickets. I don't know, but really the O2 Arena, that was too big for this fight, in my opinion. They could have, even the Copper Box, that would have been a good place to put that fight, in my opinion, for that fight, because then you'd get more people in, it'd be a better atmosphere. But like, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, going to a show and there's nobody there. There's nothing there. You like to see packed arenas, and there's not many fighters that can do it. There's not many fighters that can do it. So that's why I'm, again, going back to the Jack Catterall against Linares, some good fighters on there. Khalil Majid, who I manage, is going to be in against Tom Farrell. He's sold a few tickets. Akib Fiaz will always sell well on these shows. But Jack sold personally a hell of a lot of tickets. His partner sold, she works really hard. She sold a fair few tickets. So it's absolutely fantastic. So we have to make the most of these events that sell really well, because there's nothing worse than going to a show and there's nobody there.
And has there been any progress at all on making a rematch between Jack and Josh Taylor? We know it's been talked about a lot.
Danny, everywhere I'm like going, people are asking me like, oh, when's Jack going to fight Josh Taylor? So look, those talks are happening. Matchroom, I know, have reached out to Top Rank, but it's like, when you ask, I don't even want to speak to Jack about it, because Jack genuinely is solely focused on it. He's not even asked me once about what's next. It's just all about showing the greatest of respect to Linares. So Jack's concentrating on that. I'll do my job in the background with Matchroom to try and make a great fight afterwards, albeit Jack gets through the fight, because I don't want to overlook Linares. And I know him too well, Danny, to plan and to put too much past Linares, because when he's on it, Linares, problem for anyone in the world.
Now, Jack's obviously the star man in your stable at the moment, but I believe you've made a new signing of an incredible young talent as well. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Hamza Udin, on the GB squad, 8-time national champion, 2-time senior elite, current #1 in the UK. You can't get any better credentials than what he has. He's absolutely fabulous talent. Danny, I don't know whether we're fabulous. I've never used that word before, but
it follows absolutely because of the TV shows.
It just felt right to say fabulous, but he really is. He's a fabulous talent, and I cannot wait to see it. And I think because he's going to start off as a flyweight, when you see him, Danny, he's massive, so he'll go through the weights relatively quickly. But he will be a star, Danny. I genuinely believe I've got arguably the best young stable in Britain. I genuinely believe that, with the talent I have. Cameron Vong, he's Jack's lead sparring partner for Linares. To be someone of Jack caliber's lead sparring partner for Linares, that just speaks volumes of how good he is. So I could talk about all of them there. Dan Toward, tremendous talents I've got. So very looking forward to the future. But Hamza Udin, oh my God, Danny, one to watch.
Now, we've talked about your current talents, but someone you worked with and you were indeed synonymous with for a long time was Joyce. The Juggernaut has got a crunch clash, I think it's fair to say, on Saturday in the rematch with Zhang. He's back in that WBO mandatory position just in time for that mandatory to be called against Alexander Usyk, if he's still got the title by then. Lose, and he might be looking at other avenues in life, although, you could argue he's still got opportunities at domestic fights with Dillian Whyte and so on. But what do you make of it? And what, I guess, crucially, what does Joe need to change from the first fight to emerge victorious?
Well, I told you before, he needs to move his fucking head, Danny. That's what he needs to do. But if Joe Joyce is the Joe Joyce I knew and I was around, I promise you this, Danny. I'm not just saying this because, like, say if Joe boxed Tyson Fury or Usyk and he lost on a point, I'd be like, they're just, I don't know, better. Zhang is just, if Joe is Joe Joyce, his normal self, it will be uncomfortable for a few rounds. Joe will take over and stop Zhang. I'm so certain of it. But I'm not in Joe's camp anymore, Danny. So it's hard for me to say to you, this is what's going to happen. I just hope Joe's back to his normal fighting weight. He's happy. He's doing things correctly. And if that is the case, if he had the elite southpaw sparring that he needed, Joe will win this fight. I'm very confident in Joe doing that. And when Joe's up against it, he always performs at his best. When people doubt him, and when Joe's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet, you'll get the best out of him. And I genuinely believe you'll see it Saturday. And I wish him like I love Joe Joyce to pieces. That's my brother, mate. So I want to see him do well on Saturday night and get his belt back and get his world heavyweight title shot, because it's the least he deserves for what he's achieved in his career, amateur and professional. So yeah, I wish Joe all the very best on Saturday.
With that in mind, you said as long as he's prepared right, he's got elite southpaw sparring and so on. We can't assume he didn't have that for the first fight, but if he didn't, why not? You know, is complacency?
Danny, honestly, I don't know, mate. I don't know, like, because I don't know what goes on. Like, sometimes I make assumptions, like I say stuff like that. I'm just like I told you, I give impulsive interviews, man. I get into trouble sometimes because I just blurt out stuff that I'm feeling the day. Yeah, so I don't know what goes on in Joe's camps anymore. I have a good idea. Do you know what I mean? I have a good idea because I know him very well, and I know what a motivated Joe Joyce does and what an unmotivated Joe Joyce does. Do you know what I mean? So it's I don't know, but all that matters now, that loss doesn't matter now. What matters is Saturday night and putting it right. And I believe he will do that. I believe if Joe Joyce is done everything correctly, done what he's meant to do in camp, Joe Joyce will beat Zhang by stoppage on Saturday night.
Now, before the defeat to Zhang, which was something of an upset, there was a lot of talk of Joyce fighting Anthony Joshua. Now,
yeah, too much talk of it.
Yeah, well, that might have been played into the result, unfortunately, for Joe. But Joshua's kind of on this comeback trail. He's looked quite underwhelming so far, but he is with a new trainer. It's understandable coming off those back-to-back defeats. It looked like a Deontay Wilder fight, which we were all quite excited about, I think, at the end of this year or beginning of next, and now seems to have imploded, unfortunately. You've got Wilder now calling out Brock Lesnar, which I'm sure made you chuckle. What do you make of it? Is it purely due to Saudi and the changing balance of power there?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Eddie got a lot of stick, didn't he? Oh, he's not made that. But ultimately, I know for a fact there was talks with Skills Challenge to make that fight between Wilder and it looks as though now that Skills Challenge are not going to be operating for the foreseeable future. They might come back, I don't know, but as things stands, it looks as though they're not going to be the spearhead of Saudi events. Because one thing I think about the Saudi situation is I don't think they want to be a boxing promoter. I think they just want to stage the biggest and best events worldwide, whether that's WWE, because I know they want to do WrestleMania, they want to do golf, football, the sign of the they want the best boxing events. So when people say, "Oh, Frank Warren and Bob Arum, they started this coalition with Prince the Turkey, the
group,
His Royal Highness," if Eddie Hearn, it's whoever's got the best product. So if Eddie Hearn's coming and saying, "Look, I've got Joshua," Shelley Finkel saying, "I've got Wilder, let's make this fight," of course they're going to want to make that fight. So I still think that AJ Wilder will happen. Will it happen next? I don't know. If not, AJ needs a live opponent, somebody like Hrgovic. I think that's a great fight for AJ against someone like a Filip Hrgovic. Whether Hrgovic will take it, because I know he's due a world title shot. But what I will say is, Hrgovic against AJ. AJ's style is a lot better for Hrgovic to fight than someone like Usyk. But that's another conversation for another time. But what I'm saying is, going back to your question, I do think AJ Wilder will happen. But will it happen next? It's probably unlikely it's going to happen next. But I'm sure we will see it.
So is the message, it's not Eddie's fault, it's not AJ's fault, basically?
No, of course it's not there. It's nobody's fault. It's not Wilder's fault. It's not AJ's fault. It's not Eddie's fault. It can't be any of their faults. Because if somebody said to you, it's like, I don't know, like you're negotiating with somebody, and then they're like, all of a sudden, "Oh, we're not going to be operating anymore." It's not their fault, is it? It's not their fault, is it? It's but I'm sure the new guy that's in charge of it all is gonna will sort it out just the same way. Because again, Saudi Arabia want to be the world's biggest attraction for events. So AJ Wilder, for me, there's arguably the most exciting fight in boxing to make. So I'm sure the fight will get made. It's just a case of when.
Is there a concern, though, that if the Riyadh group are now the chief kind of power holders in that region, and they work closely with Tyson Fury and Frank Warren, that they might not be inclined to make a fight for a matchroom fighter?
No, because like what I just said to you a minute ago, who's got the best product? It's like who's betting on the best horse to win the race. If somebody comes to Saudi Arabia and say, look, this is the fight we want to make, this is the monstrous fight, and it's going to make everyone, it's going to make all eyeballs on Saudi Arabia and the event, they're going to make that. They're going to make that. I don't think there's going to be any favoritism. Just right now, they're putting on the Ngannou Fury fight because it's going to be a great attraction. Again, I'll go into it again. It's not something I'm personally invested in or interested in, but I'll watch it because Adeleye and Fabio Wardley's fighting, so I'm really excited for that fight. But they just want to put on, from what I'm told about Saudi Arabia and this new entity, they just want to put on the best events for Saudi Arabia to put good eyeballs on Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And if that means they're going to make the biggest and best fights in boxing, then absolutely fucking fantastic.
You're really excited for Wardley against Adeleye. They were obviously a bit too excited because they got into it a few months early, or a few weeks early at least. What did you make of that? And could it scupper the fight with the cuts that Wardley received?
Nah, apparently not. All I can tell you is I know both of them like really well, like David and Fabio. They're two of the nicest big lumps you could ever meet. They really are.
I thought that when I saw the video. Yeah,
David Adeleye is a great kid, a really great kid. He's super intelligent. Same as Fabio. Really, pair of them, great guys. So, but when you get two big lumps like that about to fight you, it can go off, and it's hard to restrain them. But it is what it is. It's. I'm sure when the fight's over, they'll give each other a hug, and they're gonna swing it out in the ring, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, let's hope their mates don't get involved when they're actually in the ring. But moving on from that, you've got a fight that's being talked about probably more than any other in the UK at the moment, like it or lump it, is Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. You know, Eubank's just come off the best performance of his career, arguably, in the rematch over Liam Smith. Conor Benn has a license in the US, not yet in the UK, and there's still the cloud of UCAD kind of hanging over the negotiations for the fight. But what do you make of it? Do you think we'll see it next?
Danny, the fight is outside of like the Fury AJ fight. It's the biggest fight in British boxing. It's a stadium fight. It's massive. The fight is absolutely massive, and whether people like it or they don't, but the fight's even bigger now. The fight is actually even bigger now than last time. In fact, it's twice as big as it was the first time, because Eubank's coming off that. Conor's had his issues that he's sorted out. It's a massive monster fight that I would personally love to see. I really do. But Eubank, by the way, little thing on Eubank, he was absolutely outstanding against Liam Smith. I know it wasn't the Liam Smith we're used to seeing, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. And Eubank was absolutely outstanding. Everything was on his. You can't get any more pressure than what was on his shoulders, Danny. His career was on the line. Make no mistake. And he got in there and performed like that. Outstanding performance. He needs a lot of credit for that.
How much would it lessen your anticipation for the fight if it wasn't in the UK?
A fight like that needs to happen it should happen in the UK. But even if it happens somewhere else, it's still a great fight. But what you want it to be in a stadium, don't you? Like in Cardiff. I know because it's in December, so there's only certain places you can put it. But they've got the roof in Cardiff, so it would be absolutely brilliant, wouldn't it? Cold night in Cardiff, roof over, like a packed stadium. It would be absolutely fantastic. And I think the British boxing fans deserve that fight over here. But if it happens somewhere else, then so be it. But I would love to see it in the UK.
And if it does happen next at £160, which is what they're talking about, who wins?
I believe Conor Benn will win, Danny. I do. Yeah, I do believe. I do. I thought it the first time, and I thought it and I think it now. I just think he's an angry man. He's an angry man, and he's got a big point to prove. He's got a big bee in his bonnet, and so he's. I just think Conor Benn would be just too explosive for him, too fresh. And I genuinely think Conor Benn would win.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully we'll get to find out. Sam, always appreciate your time, mate. Really good chat, and let's do it more often now.
Yes, mate. Listen, it's your fault, mate. That one time was my fault before, but the rest is your fault.
I'm going to come to Derby. I am going to. I was going to do it this week. We've done this instead, but I will come to Derby.
Danny, whenever you like, mate. Whenever you like.
All right. Brilliant. Sam, cheers, mate. Take
Bye-bye,
care.
mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, mate.